There is just no stopping Liverpool, is there? Arne Slot is now 22 games in a row unbeaten. The first Liverpool manager to do that since Kenny Dalglish in 1989. This team are magnificent. It's painful to see quite how good they are, but what they are doing is historic. It's dazzling. It is mind-blowingly brilliant. And there is now an inevitability to this Liverpool team. If you think about the game last night, just think about when you were watching that game last night. Genuinely, even when Leicester were winning, even when we were approaching half-time and Liverpool were trailing at home, did you ever genuinely believe that Liverpool weren't going to accrue the 3 points? Did you ever genuinely believe that there was a chance that somehow Jordan Ayew was going to score the winner at Anfield? In fact, forget that. Forget the winner. Did you ever believe that there was even a chance that Liverpool could drop points? So did you ever even think that there was a chance that the game could end in a draw? I tell you the truth, I absolutely did not. Even at 1-0 down, even when Liverpool weren't playing well, even when Liverpool was spamming crosses into the box and it wasn't going their way, at no point did I ever envisage a world where Liverpool wouldn't take the maximum of 3 points. And that tells you everything you need to know. When there is an inevitability about a team, it means they are champion material. And this Liverpool team are... I don't want to call them champions just yet, but my word, it is going to take something outrageous to stop them. It's happening. There is just an inevitability to it. The way that they are playing, the way that they are just manoeuvring games, the way that they are totally in control. They are just simply sublime. And there was this weird calmness around Anfield. There was this weird poise around the players. They knew that they were going to win the game. They knew that everything was going to be fine. Even when they were losing, they knew it was all going to be fine. There was no panic. There was no rush. There was no major urgency. They knew that ultimately there would be a few managerial tweaks, and those managerial tweaks would ultimately execute Liverpool's recovery. And that is exactly what's happened. What they've done, and it's so impressive from Arne Slot, they've managed to sort of take the Jurgen Klopp style, the Jurgen Klopp mould, and almost improve upon it, because they still have that cutting, ruthless, dynamic edge when they attack. But they do it with an added authority, just an added measure. There is something slightly different about it. There is this ease, this know-how. And I think that that's born out of the fact that they just have such a talented squad. And Jurgen Klopp obviously deserves so much credit for that. FSG, Jurgen Klopp, they have been virtually perfect. And Arne Slot has continued in that vein. Because what they have done, this squad that they have assembled, it basically has everything. If you think about all of the ingredients that you need to win the Premier League, like what are they? Do it off the top of your head. What do you need to win the Premier League? You need talented footballers, no doubt. You need players, the right kind of players with desire, passion, tenacity. Yep, all of the above. Conviction, absolutely. Experience, no doubt. A little bit of youth, yes, 100%. Some homegrown players, I think is important, absolutely. They have it all. And then the most crucial ingredient, world class. World class. You need some icons, some true icons of the game. That is what you need, because if you don't have that, ultimately the standards can slip. But they're never going to slip with Mohamed Salah around. They are never going to slip with Virgil van Dijk around. So this team has it all. And maybe before the ball was kicked, you might have suggested that the manager could be inexperienced. You might have suggested that the manager could be a problem, but we learned very quickly that Arne Slot is world class. Yes, I repeat that, non-negotiably, Arne Slot is a world class manager. He is just getting everything right. And the way that he is manoeuvring games, the way that he is putting his own element of stardust on the result is just so impressive. Like, how many times have Liverpool been trailing and then ultimately win the game? It's not going their way at half-time. Basically, in half of the games that Liverpool have played this season, it's not going their way at half-time. And then what happens? They win the game. I mean, that is management, isn't it? He watches. He exploits the weakness in the opposition that becomes apparent in the first half, and then he manages to exploit it in the second. So he's watching. He's like stalking his prey. It's a lion in the Serengeti, stalking the prey from the touchline for the first half, and in the second half they exploit it. It really is brilliant. Like, how many times is he manoeuvring the result? Little tactical tweaks just to make sure that it goes his way. Such a pragmatic, malleable manager. And I think he learned something about both teams in the first half. Wallop goes for the jugular in the second. Wouldn't you love to hear a halftime team talk from Arne Slot. Like, what does he say? How are Liverpool so good, so determined, and such winners in the second half? And, when you have all of the above, everything that we're talking about here, it's just always going to go their way. You think about Mohamed Salah. By the way, in some news, Mohamed Salah scored a goal again at Anfield yesterday in the Premier League. In other news, water is wet. It's getting to the stage now with Mohamed Salah that there is just such a guarantee that you could almost advertise it. If you advertise Liverpool tickets, buy yourself a Liverpool ticket, you could almost go buy yourself a Liverpool ticket, watch Mohamed Salah score a goal. That is how guaranteed it is. I just cannot believe how good he is. He scored 19 goals, by the way. 19 goals. So if you were to buy a Liverpool ticket, you basically have a guarantee that you watch Mohamed Salah score his 20th goal of the season. We're not even in the new year. 20 goals of the season. And this second peak of Mohamed Salah, it is just unreal. Like, I mentioned this the other day. And in fact, can I just reinforce it here? I'm going to do like a deep dive video on Mohamed Salah. I did one on Bukayo Saka recently. I've been working on a Cole Palmer one. The Saka one seemed to go down quite well. I'm loving working on the Palmer one. And I asked, would you like to see that video? And a lot of people gave it a like. But if you would, just do me a favour, reinforce it, just so I can guarantee that people want to see it. I'm going to do like a real explorative video on the brilliance and genius of Mohamed Salah, particularly the recent iteration of Salah, the player that he has become. Because he is having his peak, which is weird because he's already had a peak, twin peaks. Some players, I can't really think of many, but some players, they kind of have a peak and you think that it's never going to get better than that. And you would have said that the Firmino, Salah, Mane partnership, when they won the league, maybe the year before, when they got the 97 point, whenever, you would have said that that was Mohamed Salah's peak, wouldn't you? He's never ever going to be that good again. I think I could easily argue that this is the best version of Mohamed Salah. This today, what we are witnessing in 2024, 2025 is better than anything that we've seen at Mohamed Salah over the 7 years before. Take his peak, what you would consider to be his peak. This is better. He is more selfless, more of a team player, equally ruthless, if not more so. I just cannot believe the player that he has become. And I really want to do that video. So please like this video if you like the idea of it. Oh, and click subscribe as well, please. It would be an honour to welcome you into this community. So if you would click that subscriber button, it massively helps me out as well. But yeah, when you think about Salah, in fact, I won't even talk about it too much now because I'm going to do that video. I really want to do it. But we can use Van Dijk as an example here. Just think about the player that Van Dijk is. Think about what he does to everyone around him. Think about what he does to Anfield. Standards. Keeps everything where it should be. And he is doing so well. Look, there is a slight, maybe a slight vulnerability to Liverpool. Vulnerability is such a big word. I don't have an expansive enough vocabulary to think of the actual word I'm thinking of here. It's not vulnerable. The chink in the armour. Since Konate's injury, they concede more goals. That's not a reflection on Joe Gomez, by the way. Certainly not a reflection on Van Dijk. I think there's an issue with Robertson. Maybe they could buy someone else, a Bournemouth left back. I don't know. But there is a slight issue there. But ultimately, Liverpool find a way. And they have done it again perfectly. And there is something symbolic about doing it against Leicester on Boxing Day. Who remembers it? Remember that 4-0 Leicester Boxing Day when Liverpool last won the league? That is how it feels. And obviously the previous time that they played them, 26th of December, they won the league. And everybody's contributing. Everybody's pulling in the right direction. When I was talking earlier about the ingredients that you need to win the league, one of the things I mentioned was homegrown. I think it helps. I think it's relevant. And I think for Liverpool to have a couple of scousers about the place is good. Curtis Jones scoring goals. Do you see Jurgen Klopp text him afterwards? I thought that was a very sweet moment and shows you the harmony, shows you the continuity that Curtis Jones gets back to his phone, I guess, off the back of scoring for Liverpool, scoring for his boyhood club. And there's a congratulatory message from his former manager, Jurgen Klopp, who helped mould him into the player that he is today. An exceptional player at that, by the way. I actually think he could be the answer for England's problems, I think he's such a good player. And Jurgen Klopp texted him and said, congratulations on 100 games. He's scoring on his 100th game. Here's to 500. And, that sounds optimistic for anyone. But he's an excellent player. There really is no doubt. And it's so important to acknowledge the contribution of players like Jones. Because at various points, I think it's fair to say that it looked like he was on the periphery. It looked like he might have been on the way out. It looked like he may not have had a future at the club. But Slot just got him playing so well. I mean, Gravenberch is another example of that. Last season, I wasn't sure. I didn't necessarily think that there was room for him in this Liverpool team. All of a sudden, he is integral. And Cody Gakpo. I mean, what a goal from Cody Gakpo, by the way, to bring Liverpool right back into it. It was a carbon copy of a goal that he's actually scored for Ruud van Nistelrooy previously. I mean, the second that Cody Gakpo picked the ball up, dropped his shoulder, moved the other way inside James Justin, I mean, Ruud van Nistelrooy in that moment must have just known exactly what was going to happen. The ball was inevitably going to curl into the top corner because that is what Cody Gakpo does. And nobody knows that more than Ruud van Nistelrooy in the Leicester dugout. He's seen it time and time again. Obviously, Van Nistelrooy would have this sort of instinctive knowledge about what Cody Gakpo is going to do because he was his manager at PSV. Like when he moved to Liverpool, it was Cody Gakpo up front. I think Noni Madueke was part of it, actually. So he's seen it before. And do you know what? I saw this great thing on Twitter when I was watching the game last night. I was on my phone as well, as I always am, but try not to be. And I saw this great goal that Cody Gakpo actually scored for Van Nistelrooy's PSV. It's a really good goal. I think it was against Slot as well, which made it, it was a goal for Van Nistelrooy against Slot in the year when Slot won the league, the Eredivisie, that the only defeat was courtesy of that goal. Slot won the league, the Eredivisie, with only one defeat, and it was partly because of that goal from Cody Gakpo. So yeah, it was a sort of symbolic, harmonious moment, but it's just a testament to how brilliant Arne Slot has done to get all his team playing so well, to make full use of his squad, to get it so right with no transfer window, virtually no transfer window. I mean, it is really, really impressive, and I just can't see anyone stopping them. I know Leicester went 1-0 up. I know they had the opening 10 minutes, really, didn't they? They had all those shots in the opening 10 minutes. I think they scored from their first shot on target. But ultimately, there is just this control that Liverpool seem to have now. This control. They have the game round the scruff of the neck constantly. And even when it's not going their way, they seem to have this heavy metal football approach, this blitzkrieg football approach that is courtesy of Jurgen Klopp's contribution. But they do it with this element of control that just wasn't there previously. Really is impressive. I think that Arne Slot, he just has to be manager. I mean, there are some brilliant managers this month. I mean, Nuno Espirito Santo, Enzo Maresca could get a mention here. But if Arne Slot comes into the league, wins the league, which, let's face it, also, easily win the Champions League, can't they? It's Liverpool. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a like. Please click subscribe. I hope you're having a wonderful festive period. And I will see you in a bit. Ta-da.